All right, welcome back to the Pave the Way podcast, everybody. I am here with Josh Alter from Vancouver, British Columbia. Josh, how you doing today?
Very good, Greg. Thanks for having me.
No
Appreciate it.
problem. Really excited to have you. So, guys, if you don't know Josh, he's an investor out of Vancouver, and he is doing all of his business virtually down in the Texas markets. So he has successfully been able to buy and sell real estate actually from another country. So really looking forward to getting into our conversation today. We're going to talk about virtual investing. We're going to talk about his background, some apartment investing. So if you guys are not driving, I would recommend pulling out a notepad and taking some notes. So to start off the show, Josh, would you mind sharing with everyone just kind of your background, what you did before real estate, and then how did you get into real estate?
Yeah, absolutely. So as mentioned, based up in Vancouver, Canada, born and raised. Married for 10 years, two young kids. I've kind of had multiple careers until I started Tallbridge with my business partner, Steve, a few years back. So I kind of got into technology, sales, recruiting early on out of college. I then sort of realized direct sales wasn't really my thing. So I made a pivot into project management. And I worked for a small company that really specialized in working in higher education. So helping universities build out campuses and clinical classrooms and things like that. So that was a pretty awesome stint before 5 years there, and got my project management designation doing that. And that was really kind of, I think, the first opportunity I realized my interest in real estate, because that gave me some exposure to that side of it.
Yeah, you saw it. Yeah.
Although sort of working in the public sector, it wasn't really kind of what I had envisioned being sort of the real opportunity. So I kind of made a pivot at that point, and I took a job working for a local developer, a real estate developer. And I spent about a year and a half working with Ani, which basically built, mixed use, residential, commercial, quite large developments across North America, actually. And so I managed a few different projects for them. And that was right around the time when Tallbridge, kind of the idea of starting a real estate business, really became something. And Steve and I came together, and like a lot of people, attended one of those real estate conferences.
Yep.
They're
Same
going to
here, man.
they're going to sell you hard. We
That's
knew it.
right.
We knew it going into it, but
Yeah.
we figured, we wanted something to change, and you got to try something different if you want change. And so we went to a fortune builders
Okay.
thing, and that really turned us on to the idea of wholesaling. Never really knew much about it, and that's kind of what sort of sent us down the path of starting up Tallbridge.
Awesome. Very cool. So real quick, couple questions on that. So, you're in the project management business before you got into, real estate and started, your own company. So that definitely helps. So my question to you is, with the Fortune Builders thing, did you go to a Fortune Builders event in Vancouver, or did you go down to like Seattle for that? Because I know you're in Canada, so it's a little different, even though it's so close,
Yeah. No, it was local. And, I signed up and went with the idea of, wanting to flip. Like, I wanted to learn how to flip properties and build a rental portfolio. Hadn't really, at that time, US wasn't really on the map for us at all. Like, it was, let's just go and see what they have to say and see what we can do here locally. Vancouver is a pretty exciting real estate market. There's opportunities across the country here. And so at that time, it was really, let's try to figure out how we can flip some properties. We don't really have a lot of money, learn the process, do some stuff here locally, and see where it goes. But we actually never ended up signing up with Fortune Builders. We just for a few different reasons. But again, it turned us on to the idea of wholesaling, and that sent us down this rabbit hole of just immersing ourselves in education. Stumbled across Sean Terry's podcast.
Oh yeah.
Kent Clothier, and you kind of very quickly get into this world.
Yeah.
And got us really fired up about starting a wholesale business. Again, still the idea was Vancouver. We were going to kind of do it in our local market. And as we started kind of researching, exploring how to go about doing that, realizing, as a wholesaler, so much of what you do is really about marketing, right?
That's all it is. Yeah.
It really is,
marketing.
Right?
That's right.
You kind of claim you're a real estate investor, but you're really a real estate marketer, right?
That's it.
You're marketing to sellers, you get a contract, you turn around, you market it to buyers, and that's kind of what you do.
That's it.
And in Canada, one of the biggest challenges, and this is kind of getting to why we decided to go to the US.
Yeah, that's where we're going. Yeah, glad. A good pivot. Yeah.
Yeah. So, the access to public information in Canada is really difficult to get. Buying the lists and all the things that allow you to target your marketing really isn't available to us. And kind of what we knew at the time 4 years ago was, direct mail. That's how we were going to get deals. And it was going to be really difficult for us to do it in Canada. So we made a pivot and we said, well, let's look at the US. And here we are 4 years later.
So. That's awesome. That's awesome. So I've heard that before. I wanted to kind of hear that from you again, because there's a couple guys. I don't know if you know Cal Ewing. He's out in, he does the same thing you do. He's actually in Calgary. I'd love to connect you guys too. You guys can probably get along real well. Anyway, so he said that too. And I was like, that's interesting. So the public records in Canada, they don't give out like ownership information, who owns this and that. So that.
Nothing. No. Yeah. And so to get the list, to be able to target your precious marketing dollars is really hard to do. Now, obviously, as we know now, there's lots of different ways to generate leads other than targeted marketing online and things driving for dollars, all sorts of things. But we didn't really know that. But I think it was kind of, it was a blessing. We didn't really realize it at the time, but what it did is it really forced us to kind of systemize our business, right? We had to out of necessity to be able to do this virtually. So we're grateful that it's gone this direction.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's the thing. It's like sometimes, you guys, you have to, be able to just deal with the reality. And the reality was, if you wanted to be, investors for the long term, it was going to be, okay, we're going to have to go out into the US. And I like how you just mentioned that. You have to, you force yourself from day one to start those systems, because you physically can't go to, the Texas markets every week. You have to have the systems and the leverage there to kind of get into it. So before we get into some lead gen stuff, would you mind kind of giving everyone just a high level overview on what your business looks like today from a 30,000 foot view, just kind of your exit strategies, the volume, and just kind of what you guys are doing now down in Texas?
Yep. So from a team perspective, Steve and I, we're based here in Vancouver. We have a full-time lead manager who's actually here as well. We kind of tried a few different options offshore. We had someone local in the US doing it. And we just found having, that role is so critical to our business, having someone here that we can spend time with, ingrain in our culture, develop. Steve, my business partner, oversees the whole acquisitions of our business, and he's, just having him here has been amazing. So there's Steve, me, Steve's my business partner, Lucas here locally. My wife comes from a marketing communications background, so she kind of works with us on a part-time basis here as well. And then in the US, as you mentioned, Texas, that's our core. Austin is really our core market, but our business is right across Texas. We have a full-time dispositions manager based out of Lubbock, Texas. Okay. We have our full-time transaction coordinator based out of Waco. And then we have two acquisitions managers based in Austin that are actually realtors by trade, but they handle all of our appointments for us. They're part of, they participate in our weekly meetings, KPI reporting, all of that. And then we have a couple other guys that are sort of affiliates. It's been kind of a big part of our business model. People that they're wholesalers, they kind of do their own thing, but we also integrate them into our business in certain cases, which has really given us that leverage to be able to deal with the peaks and valleys that come with the business. So as you know.
Yeah, I know that. Oh my God. It's like, Jesus.
Yeah. So that's the core. And then we have a couple folks, two girls out of the Philippines that help kind of handle our whole marketing dispositions process. And they've been with us for a couple of years now, which is great. So everything from, preparing marketing, Facebook, Craigslist, posting to our website, scraping, Facebook posts and ads and all sorts of stuff. That's really our core team. We had a cold caller out of South America, but we kind of put a pin in that for a bit. So that's really our core team right now. And it's all wholesale, right? Like everything we've done to date has been wholesale. We're sort of in the 5 to 10 deals a month, pretty consistently now, month over month.
That's awesome.
We're just technically starting our fourth year. And, this is a big transition year for us. The wholesaling thing is now pretty well systemized and automated with the people in place that are allowing Steve and I to kind of step up and really focus on some other things. And obviously the multifamily and passive income and those sorts of things is going to be a big push for us this year.
That's awesome. No, that's impressive too, because Austin's a very competitive market. So there's a lot of people want to buy property in
Yeah.
Austin, and it's not as big as Dallas. So
Yeah, no, for sure.
yeah,
And it's funny. People often ask why Austin.
yeah, that's what I
How
was
did you
saying. I'm
pick?
like, dude,
I don't
there's
know.
so
How
many
did you pick?
competitive. Yeah, Jesus,
And
like
honestly,
population.
we probably spent the better part of like 4 hours. Honestly, being up here in Vancouver, it's like, well, if we're gonna do this in the U.S., let's just be reasonable about the market that we pick. And we looked at a couple Forbes, fastest growing cities, and obviously we knew we wanted a decent population base. We wanted an attractive place to live. Universities. Technology, some of the basic kind of things you look at, but
Yeah, yeah.
it wasn't this big it wasn't this big drawn out analysis, which I think can hold people up from taking that step. And so, yeah, we just kind of picked it. And if we knew then what we knew now, maybe Austin wouldn't have been our first market because
Yeah, I'm saying, I'm like, dude, I know that market. That's a
yeah, it's
hyper competitive market, man.
it is. But then you get the benefit of proximity to San Antonio, Houston, Dallas, and
Yeah, it's in
there's a
the middle.
lot of great subsidiary markets that our buyers are buying in. So we have leverage in economies of scale to be able to do deals in other markets, even though we only spend marketing dollars in Austin. But through referral and co-wholesale deals and things like that, we're able to kind of spread our reach to these
Oh,
other
that's awesome.
markets, which has been good.
That's awesome. And you
Yeah.
guys are just, so you're just, are you guys only, like, are you guys closing on anything? Is it all assigning? Or are you guys just taking stuff down sometimes and like light rehabs, or like, are you strictly like everything is assigning or double closing with you guys?
So to date, we've closed on 2 deals, which we actually flipped with a local partner.
Like fixed and flipped.
Yeah,
Okay.
like a kind of a hotel almost. We closed on
Yeah. I
it.
love those. Those are my
Yeah,
favorite.
that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
But for us, it was okay. We made more money, but I just think the distraction for us, we just decided let's just focus on nailing the wholesale business down.
Yeah.
So everything else has been assignment of contract, no double closing, and we like that approach. For us, we find it's the most transparent, and we're very transparent with our sellers. They know we're a business. They know we're here to make money. And similarly, our buyers, they know we're here to make money too. And so, sometimes we'll make $1,000 on a deal, sometimes we'll make 50. And
Yeah.
as long as they're getting the deal that they want,
Exactly.
it shouldn't matter. So we like the assignments, and it aligns with our core values. Just about being fully transparent with everybody, and it's also easier for us being Canadians. We can just flow everything real quickly through title and
Yeah, quick cash flow. Because it's funny you said this. I do a lot of the virtual stuff too, and I'm seeing
yeah.
like I'm closing on more deals now, and our spreads are bigger, but
Mm-hmm.
the sales cycle is just longer. Especially in
Mm-hmm.
New York, where I'm from. I live in San Diego, and like we're closing on deals, and we're making like 4 or 5x the spreads, but that
Right.
sales cycle is 3 or 4 months. So like
Right.
the assigning is good because you
Yeah.
get the paid at the closing. So
Yeah, for sure. That's a good point. And
yeah,
just, kind of assessing that ROI, right? And
yeah,
yeah, you may make 4 times, but if it takes you 4 times to make that amount, you
yeah,
could have done 4 assignments in that same time frame. So
exactly.
it's a good kind of exercise to go through when you're trying to decide,
Yeah.
do I do more flips? Do I do more wholesaling assignments, double closing, whatever the case may be? It's
That's awesome.
one of our coaches helped us with that.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
So before we get into some of the multifamily stuff that I want to hit on, let's kind of get into like, what are you guys doing from once again, like a high level perspective to generate your leads? Because in this business, it's all about getting leads and then understanding how to have a conversation with the seller to see if we can do business with them. And then, I think if you can get the deal and contract at a good price, it'll almost sell itself as long as you have a reasonable buyers list. So what are you
Yep.
guys doing in terms of lead gen now? Because that's something that everyone loves to talk about. So just some key things you guys are doing.
Yeah. So a lot of the basics like direct mail, we're
Yep.
pretty consistent. We plan our direct mail out typically 12 months in advance.
Yep.
So our
That's key.
campaigns are set. We don't think we'll spend every quarter, we'll review our direct mail campaigns, really no more frequent than that because it takes time, right? So
Yeah.
we kind of set it and forget it. So we will do 15, 20,000 mailers a month, probably across 7 or 8 different campaigns. And then we're pretty consistent with our pay-per-click as well. We work with Lightmark,
Okay.
them for about 2 years now. That's been sort of up and down as well, but
Yeah.
overall it's been okay for us. So those have kind of been our core paid pillars. We've done Facebook, we've done cold calling, none of which we've had a ton of success with, to be honest. What really has been I think, our differentiator and something we're really focusing on this year is on the co-wholesale joint venture side of things. And, historically, I would say it's ranged between 40 and as much as 55% of our revenue has come from co-wholesale deals, which is significant when you think about the fact that we don't have to pay for those leads, right?
Yeah. Cost per buy is zero.
Exactly. And so, and I think, initially it wasn't intentional. We kind of realized the need to be able to partner with people in order to do this thing virtually. So we built relationships with other wholesalers and realtors and buyers, and we really leaned on those relationships. Now we realize there's a much greater opportunity to kind of have an impact and help other wholesalers. And so very intentionally now kind of promoting this to people, saying, hey, we want to partner with you. We have a lot of the systems and processes and everything else in place that you can tie into. Let's work together, and we get paid when you get paid, and it's truly a partnership. So that's been a huge marketing pillar for us. And it always amazes me when I go to these masterminds and guys that are doing way more volume than we're doing that do zero co-wholesale. And it's such a huge opportunity, I think, especially in wholesaling.
Totally. Absolutely. And both of your interests are aligned. It's like, you both want to get the deal closed. And then that's like, I like how you're talking about that, because it's almost like the wholesaler who partners with you, they're getting value because they're finding like you guys are very good at finding buyers and having systems. And now you're getting value. It's just, there's an equal distribution of value there. It's like they 100%. Want you and they're getting value from you, and then you're getting the same from them. And as long as there's 50% value getting distributed, I mean, it's just a complete win-win. So,
and they tie into our team, and a lot of, the majority of wholesalers I think out there are independents, or they're, part of a very small team. Right. And because they don't necessarily have interest in all the stuff that goes into running a company, and that's totally fine. And then to each is their own. But, when we kind of bring them in, and we'll include them in our team calls and scorecard reporting, we'll bring them into our podio. They kind of they become a part of something that I think is much bigger, and it truly is a win-win. And for us, it's a great opportunity for us to have an impact, and obviously selfishly, it's also a great.
Very profitable.
It really works out. So
that's it.
The co-wholesale thing has been a big piece. So it's really, those are the three: PPC, direct mail, co-wholesale, kind of our key pillars.
That's awesome. No, that's great. So guys, if you're listening and you're in the Austin, Texas area, my goodness, you're going to have to reach out to Josh after, because there's a good opportunity for you. So let's start to pivot into the part of the show that I'm very excited about. And it's, the whole apartment investing thing. I was speaking with Steve, I'm getting pretty close with Steve. So we've been speaking a lot, and he was telling me about, some of the apartment stuff he's got going on with you. So would you mind kind of talking a little bit about, just you guys are looking to get slowly more into the apartment business, and then we can kind of talk about the power of, the cash flow versus the active, buy and sell properties, whether it's the spread on a flip or whether it's the assignment fee. So we'll just kind of cover the apartment side and what made you guys really want to make that shift. Because I think you guys went to some event too. Didn't you guys go to an apartment event a couple months ago?
Yeah. We were in January. We were down in Florida to attend the Commercial Empire 3-day, which is Tim Bratz's program. And like all aspects of real estate, there's a lot of these guys out there. And I think it's just a matter of finding someone that you kind of align with from a value perspective, which is really important, right? And so Tim was someone that I didn't really know much about, but I think a Facebook ad or something caught my attention. And
usually catches my attention,
totally. And started asking around, who is Tim? And a few people in our circle knew of him, and I attended his event. He's like, he's the real deal, good guy, family guy, and he's admittedly, he tells you right up front, he tells you how he does it, but his intention is to build his portfolio, and he knows the more he gives, the more he'll partner with people like us, and so it was a great event. I think why we decided to make this sort of transition, or I guess not so much a transition, but a diversification into multifamily.
A little expansion.
Was I think for Steve and I, it just comes back to kind of the vision, right? And building a wholesale business, running a wholesale business is fine, right? I don't think we're passionate about it. It's certainly, it's great to have built it, and now it's kind of doing its thing, and we're still very much involved in it. But
Yeah.
I think that we kind of ask ourselves the questions: if we're going to be dealing with these problems, let's work on $1 million problems. Let's not
Instead
work
of
on like a
$10,000
$10,000
problems. I
problem,
love that.
right?
Oh,
Steve says this all the time, and it's really stuck, right? And it's
yeah.
true, right? Like we're chasing these challenging single deal, wholesale deal
Yeah.
closings, and it's
Yeah.
got to happen, and we have other people that help us to do that, but
Yeah.
let's go after something that's bigger, that's also going to contribute to the longer term vision for us, which is really about building a legacy for we both have young families, and getting into passive income, mailbox money, ultimately we feel is going to provide us the opportunity to spend more time with our families, have a greater impact, pursue those passion projects and other things that we're excited about. And I think it's kind of always been there from the beginning. Maybe we probably were a little bit scared of the idea of kind of jumping right into this idea
Yeah.
of acquiring 200-door apartment buildings, but you
Yeah.
realize so much of it is similar, right? It
Yeah.
really, and so we're just leveraging our current process and relationships, and it's been a pretty quick transition. And so I've kind of divested a lot of my responsibilities from the wholesale side business to build out our multifamily. And it's just right now it's building awareness. We're buying, we have backings, financial backing to be able to go and acquire, really anything from $0 to $50 million. And we're just really excited to kind of level up.
I love it, man. I love it. I love it. And that's something I've been really kind of looking into also. And it's funny, you said like, and by the way, are you guys just looking for apartment buildings, or you will buy any type of commercial property? And I got a good book for you, by the way, when we're done. Actually, I'll say it now. It's called Confessions of a Real Estate Entrepreneur by Jim Randall.
Okay.
I'm not kidding, man. That book has changed my life. I study that thing. It's like the real estate Bible. So it is so good. It's just amazing. So that's all I'll say. I'll let you kind of take it from there.
I'll read it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I forgot. Was there a specific question?
I was saying, are you just going after apartment buildings, or are you still looking for office and retail and like just any type of commercial asset?
Right now we're focused on residential apartment buildings. That's really kind of what we understand best. And the backing, the sponsors that we have supporting us are really focused on acquiring residential apartment buildings. 50 to 200 doors is kind of our sweet spot. B-class areas. So we have a pretty defined criteria of what we're looking for. And I'm sure over time, that'll evolve as well.
Yeah.
I do have some background in commercial real estate, but I like the residential side. It's familiar. I think it's a nice transition from the residential wholesale, and we have wholesaled some multifamily properties as well. So it's been a relatively easy transition. Obviously, there's a learning curve on how to assess the deals, and we haven't yet acquired a deal. We're only in our second month, but we're going after it. And we have some pretty aggressive goals, and we have some great partners, and we're really excited to tap into our local market here in Canada, because there's a lot of investors that want to put their money to work, and it's hard to get the sort of returns that we can find in the US. So we want to bridge the gap and really expose the Canadians that we know to some of these opportunities that we're finding in the US. So that's
awesome, man. I love it. And it's cool you're saying that too, because you're up in Vancouver, and that's a very I heard it's a nice city. I need to check it out soon.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And you can help a lot of people out, because some of the returns you can make in real estate, and obviously not all the returns are guaranteed, ladies and gentlemen. But you can make some sick yields. I mean, it's just the way it is. That's why backed by real estate. So I mean, that's a whole other show. But no, I really like how you guys are transitioning, and I saw you guys were at that event, and I follow Tim a lot too, and I like a lot of his content. So I've listened to him on a lot of podcasts. So really like how you guys are heading in that direction. So definitely very exciting. So but as we really start to wrap the show up today, there's two more things I want to cover, and it's the first thing is we're almost going to flip flop back to the whole virtual thing, because regardless of what you're doing, whether it's apartments or assigning, you're a virtual investor. I'm a virtual investor, and there's a lot of virtual investors now. I think with the way technology is now, you can do this business from anywhere. And I think it's tough to believe at first, but once I think you see it happen a few times, you realize you can do it. Yes. And then it's almost like it's game over. So what do you think, if there's an aspiring virtual investor, they're listening to the show, they're listening to you and I talk right now, if you had to give them, what are the top one or two things that could hold a virtual investor back from success? And then how could we almost debunk that myth that can allow them to go out and break through those limiting beliefs to achieve the success they want to achieve as a virtual investor?
Mm-hmm. It's a good question. It's interesting because this is kind of all I know, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And so it's true. Like I find that, the one thing that holds people back is this desire or this feeling that they need to see a property, like before they can facilitate the transaction.
Yeah. They have to touch the stucco. It's like,
and the funny thing about that is, a wholesaler, you're not even going to own the thing. So it's kind of like you force yourself to detach from that one variable. Everything else, the entire process is exactly the same. It really is. Like, I kind of look at it as, you could be a wholesaler in your own market, but if you have an acquisitions manager, really just an acquisitions manager, you're basically a virtual wholesaler in your own market, right? You're not, the only difference is you're not going and looking at properties. And so, I honestly, because I do a little bit of coaching as well, and I just tell people, you just go through the same motions that you would go through. Start talking to sellers, start networking on Facebook, just start making those connections. And really what will happen very quickly is you start to identify those few people that can fill those gaps. And for us, it was one particular buyer, Dana, who happens to be one of our best VIPs now, that we connected with early on. And we basically, established we said, Dana, we're obviously not local. We're talking to sellers. We're finding what we feel are great deals. And, our gap is, well, how do we go and actually verify, what these sellers are telling us? And we think it's a fit based on what you tell us you want. We basically said, Dana, why don't we do this? We'll give you a first right of refusal on these deals. You go and check out the property, take a bunch of photos for us. Here's what we know about it. We've already basically pre-negotiated the deal, so you don't have to negotiate with the seller or do any of that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And if you like the deal, it's yours. If you don't like it, all that I'd ask is you give me the photos and you give me your honest take on the property, and we'll turn around and market it out. And so that was one of the ways we were able to kind of overcome that. I think that hurdle of, well, how do we put a contract on a property without seeing it, and then turn around and market it with confidence to other people
from Canada.
Hey? Exactly. And so honestly, it was just, we made some great connections. There was Dana, there was another wholesaler that we kind of tied in, there was a realtor, and then a hard money lender. There was sort of the four. They were kind of like our power team, people that we trusted, that we felt that we could, put in front of a seller in a property without us having a contract in place. And that's kind of how it got started. And that was really the first year. We had no acquisitions people working for us. We really just relied on these partners to basically do this for us, and until we felt like we had enough consistency in deal flow to be able to, feed an acquisition enough deals. And so, it's amazing. Like now that we've done this, it's sort of, I wouldn't do it any other way. Like the thought of me having to go out and drive to 4 appointments a day, and look at all these properties where I could talk to 10 sellers in a day, the volume is so much greater, right?
Absolutely.
Turn out. You may not get the same closing percentages. Like you have to kind of hedge your expectations a little bit, right? Because you'll always be better face to face. But the trade-off is I have the flexibility. we have a business that's a bit more systemized and scalable because it's not dependent on that function. So I don't know if I answered your question, but
you did.
Okay.
In fine detail, and I'll summarize it for everyone. Basically, guys, if you're listening, get rid of the limiting belief that and I say you, the person listening, have to physically go to properties. The first virtual wholesale deal I did, it was like, I just pulled it out of my you-know-what. Like I got a lead, didn't know what I was doing. Oh, I knew the property, but I didn't know how to get there. I called the guy and we partnered and we made, a wholesale fee. And I was like, oh my God, I never saw the property. And then it's something clicked in my head. And I'm sure it was the same way for Josh and Steve. And Steve's Josh's partner. They did a deal. They earned revenue. They never saw the property and they got a wire in their bank account. And they were like, oh my God, this works. Yeah. So it's that limiting belief that's key. And it's having those boots on the ground, whether it's an employee or whether it's a partner, whether it's a contractor or buyer. But that is just so key for everyone listening. And another thing, Josh, too, is I think a lot of bigger investors that I follow and talk to now, they're starting to do everything over the phone now. A lot of these big guys are really starting to scale their businesses buying over the telephone. And I think a lot of these guys who are trying that old model of go on every appointment you get, I think that's slowly dying. Like, not saying it's irrelevant, because you will close more in person, but a lot of these guys that I follow who are doing high volume are not doing any like in-person sales. It's all over the phone.
Yeah, there's a shift, right? Like I think the
Yeah.
demographic of home buyers is also changing, and the comfort level of doing stuff online, whether it be, 5 years ago, people buying stuff on Amazon probably was just such a small fraction of what it is today, right? The people are just getting more comfortable with this idea of doing things virtually over the phone, and I would not be surprised 5 years from now, people probably they wouldn't even want to meet with you. It's like, what, make me a fair offer. You kind of, obviously you're tied in with John Martinez. You get really good at just really understanding their pain and the value that you can provide them. If you can get to that, which you can do over the phone, you can provide a solution for them and move quickly. And the only other thing I'd add too is, if you're in a competitive market, sometimes by the time our appointment, is scheduled, the property's already sold. Someone else gets in there, and your ability to execute is getting harder and harder, right? In tough markets. So, we can move quicker than a lot of people, and I think that's helped us out a fair bit.
I love it. What you just said there is so true. It's like, as the other dude's setting the appointment, you're buying the property over the phone and cancel the appointment.
It happens. Yeah.
It's like, hey, speed, speed is key. So before we wrap it up, Josh, let's talk about the best deal you've ever done. Well, it's obviously going to be virtual, but let's talk about the best property you've ever done, the fattest deal you ever did from across the border. Just the skinny.
So,
yeah.
I know you sent me this question, and it's funny. Like there wasn't like a specific deal that stood out for me, but there was a type of deal. Okay. So
sure.
And so we've done a lot of our own deals, right? And certainly there are those deals where we've truly helped, right? Like, sometimes it's just a transaction and the seller just wants to sell. They don't care. But sometimes they're in a difficult situation. We've come in and really helped them out. So that happens. But I think for me, because I think I've been really closely tied to this, it's actually a lot of the co-wholesale stuff that we've done that I've taken a lot of satisfaction from, in those situations where another wholesaler has been trying to sell their deal for a week or 2 weeks, and they're running tight on an option, and then they kind of get referred to say, hey, you should give Tallbridge a call because maybe they can help. And then we talk to this wholesaler, and we realize some of the challenges that they're having, and they give us an opportunity, right, to basically sell the property, and then we turn around, not only sell it, but we actually sell it for $10K more than they thought they could sell it for.
Oh, it's amazing.
So they're making more money, and it's just, I don't know, it's great. Like, obviously there's satisfaction in that because, we built something out that other people can tie into, but it's also that we're helping these other wholesalers kind of do their thing, right? And we know how hard it is to, it's not wholesaling, as it's not a complicated business, but it is not easy.
No,
right?
not at all.
And anyone that tells you that it is just blowing smoke. Like
they're full of BS.
Yeah. It's a hustle. You got a consistency. Like, there's so many things that need to happen, and you'll get lucky here and there, but it takes time, right? And so for me, it's really that the opportunities to partner with other folks and helping them kind of move their deals that really has, I think, resonated with me most when I think back over the last couple of years. So
that's awesome. Well, and that's key too. It's like the satisfaction you can get from helping another person out. The value you've added to them. Like, wow, they were about to make $0 and have to cancel a contract, and now they called you guys. You sold it to them, to your buyers, for more money. They made more money. It's just a win-win. So that's a great answer, and it's the consistency of that too that you guys are doing, which is great. So we're going to wrap this thing up, Josh. So, we've unpacked a lot of stuff today. You've helped our listeners out a ton. So if people were interested in either finding out more about what you guys have going on for multifamily, or maybe they want to partner with you, or they're in Texas and they think they can add value to you and your company, what would be the best, 1 or 2 ways someone can get in touch with you if they wanted to connect?
Yeah, well, obviously you can email me directly. And josh@tallbridgerealestate.com is my direct email, and obviously happy to have a chat and see how we can work together. Our website, tallbridgeproperties.com. for the time being is kind of the best place to go and learn more about our company and our
Cool.
deals. And there's our wholesale program and kind of what that looks like is on the website. We're actually in the midst of a pretty significant kind of rebranding and website project. So a couple months from now, it'll be
Yeah.
a different site, but yeah, that's, email is probably the best. And
Perfect.
if not, check out the website.
Awesome. So we'll put that in the show notes for sure. And Josh, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day today to help our listeners out. Hope you
Thanks,
have a
Barry.
good day, and we'll talk to you soon.
Appreciate it. Thank you. See everyone.
All right, cool.
Bye.